We're going to do the Synergie Power Peel. The Synergie Power Peel is the Jessner peel, and it's a Jessner with a difference. The traditional Jessner peel contains 14% lactic acid, 14% salicylic, and 14% resorcinol. Synergie's formula has added kojic acid. Now, kojic acid is a powerful tyrosinase inhibitor, and it's used to address serious hyperpigmentation and various forms of sun damage. Now, this Jessner Power Peel is an excellent choice for clients with sun damaged skin, aging skin, cystic acne, oily acneic skin, or combination skin types prone to occasional breakouts. Synergie Jessner peels are typically layered until a frosting appears on the skin. This peel may sting significantly while on the skin, and this is a very normal response. The client will feel a prickly stinging sensation, but once it's self-neutralized, the patient will be a lot more comfortable. They still may feel some heat though. Over time, the client may experience redness or a tan discoloration on the skin for several days. They may also experience significant flaking, and again, this is a normal response. Flaking and peeling will generally not occur for 3 to 4 days after the application. It's generally finished after about 7 days, and the peel can be applied every 4 to 6 weeks as a treatment protocol, and we generally recommend 4 to 6 treatments of Jessner. Now, I do recommend we never apply a Jessner acid-based product without first doing a patch test on the client, particularly with the resorcinol. So we're ready to commence. So the protocol, firstly, we will explain the procedure to the client and gain a consent. This is a very, very important part of all Synergie procedures. Always have your consent form ready, and Synergie does supply a peel consent if you should need one. Okay, so we're going to start using Synergie Ultra Cleanse. First of all, we emulsify the Ultra Cleanse with water, and then we apply directly to the face. Often it's better to use your hands, your gloved hands, because you do get a lot better coverage over the skin. Now, we do like to use 2 gauze, and we fold them quite thoroughly into small squares, and that gets a really thorough cleanse. We prefer to use the fine gauze, the coarse gauze, not the fine gauze, because it is a little bit more abrasive on the skin. So we wash with water, and we put the gauze into our small squares, and we begin cleansing. Now we start cleansing on the jawline, and that's the client's area of concern, and we then move in small circles. Now it's important to be quite firm at this point, because we want to use small circles to be firm on the skin, and as you can see, we're working around the skin. And we also work around the nose, and that helps to remove the blackheads, which is often an area of concern, and obviously using gauze gives a better cleanse. And you can actually see the amount of makeup that comes off Jess's skin, and that's just with one cleanse. It's quite significant. Then we actually use Fibrella or daily towels to actually remove the final amount of cleanser. Now, often we may repeat, we may do 2 cleanses, we may even do 3 cleanses depending on the client's needs. Now we can see how effective the cleansing is. We're actually going to commence a second cleanse now. So we're going to do 2 pumps of cleanser, of Synergie Ultra Cleanse plus your water. And we're actually going to use our fingers to apply that to the face. Now, you can use gauze to apply the cleanser to the face, but often it's better to actually use gloved fingers, because you can feel the area of congestion on the face, and you can really feel where the areas are that need addressing. So it's optional to use gauze or gloved fingers. So we're applying the cleanser on the face. And then we're going to do the second cleanse with 2 pieces of gauze. And we're going to take our gauze, fold it into small squares, squeeze out the excess water, and the face is emulsified with cleanser, and we're really going to use our small circular actions to draw out the impurities and actually remove areas of congestion. Now, this is actually like a mild exfoliation. We're actually going to increase the penetration of the peel, because if we're getting off the layers of dead skin, we're actually going to get a better result. Now, you will notice that the client's skin will appear brighter and her circulation will be improved. You'll get increased erythema, and that will again aid the uptake of the peel. Now, if you are still picking up makeup and grime at this stage, then you can perform a third cleanse. Generally 2 are sufficient, but you need to make sure that your gauze is clean, or else you will have to do a third cleanse.
So last slide again.
We do need to make sure that the gauze is clean, or else you will have to perform a third cleanse. Now, we know that oil will impede the penetration of our peel, so one of the main reasons peels fail is because of oil on the surface of the skin. So educate the clients to know the importance of cleansing, and also make sure that you cleanse your client's face properly prior to your peel. And that's our cleanse. Now for the degreasing step. This is a very important part of the step. We're going to be using Synergie Skin Prepare. This may sting a little because the patient's just had a thorough cleanse and there's a little bit of grain-based alcohol. So we're going to begin on our gauze, firm strokes along the jaw, along the cheeks, and up the nose, across the forehead, again down the sides of the face, and we finish under the jaw. How's that feeling, Jess?
Good.
Any stinging?
No.
Okay. Now we wait till any erythema or stinging subsides, and then we apply our peel solution. Now the next part of the treatment, we're going to apply some Microderm in some of the more sensitive areas of the skin. Microderm prevents the peel penetrating into areas that may cause irritation, and typically these areas are around the corners of the nose, the corners of the lip, and also under the eyes. Alternatively, you could put some eye pads on the client's eyes, because you do want to avoid any possibility of the acid dripping into the client's eyes. So we're just applying our Microderm, a highly protective product, also a highly anti-inflammatory product. It's purified castor bean oil and lavender, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and very soothing. So just apply that with a cotton bud under the eyes, corner of the nose, show where we're applying it on the lips, across the lips, and especially in the corners where the peel may collect when we're applying it. Okay. Now we are protected, and now we're ready to actually apply the Jessner peel. So remember, the Jessner is lactic acid, salicylic acid, resorcinol, and also Synergie's added kojic acid to this particular peel solution. So we're going to apply 1 capful of Jessner solution. We're going to put the capful into our bowl, and then we're going to apply that on the face. Now you can use a fan brush if you want. However, we do prefer to use the gauze. We find we get a better result using the gauze because you can control the pressure on the face. So we've actually got the Jessner peel on the gauze now, and we're going to apply 1 layer on the face, working in very firm, even passes, and remembering there is minimal overlap with this particular peel. If you overlap, you're basically double passing it. So we're going to start at the chin area. This is the area of most congestion, so this is the area where most product is going to be. Be careful not to double pass. So we're going to go up the face, minimal overlap, and then under the eyes, across the nose, across the forehead, into the hairline, into the jawline, and across the top of the lip. And this area of the chin is an area where we get a lot of blackheads, so into the chin crease. So that's the first layer of Jessner, and Jess might be feeling a little bit hot and prickly now. Is that right, Jess?
Yes.
Yep. And so what we're going to do is we can fan the patient. That will relieve the irritation, but remembering that after a period of time the Jessner does self-neutralise, so tell the client not to panic, but also keep in mind to monitor the patient for any signs of redness or obviously maceration of the skin. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the most comfortable and obviously 10 being the worst, how do you feel?
About an 8.
And anywhere in particular, does it feel hot or just all over?
All over, but in particular my chin.
So we're going to leave at least a minute between layers. So Jessner peels are typically layered. Now, if we're going to do what's called the accelerated Jessner with a combination of Jessner and microdermabrasion, we never ever exceed 3 layers. Ideally, probably 2 layers of Jessner and then a light microderm. But if you're doing just Jessner on its own, you can take the client up to 4 layers of Jessner, leaving a minute between each layer. But again, you would never do that unless the client had had multiple Jessner treatments and was definitely able to cope with that level of Jessner. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to do the 1 layer of Jessner on Jess's face, but bearing in mind that if you do a second layer, do not overlap, leave a minute, and then monitor the patient and allow them to have a fan between the layers. And then hopefully after a few minutes, the heat sensation will be reduced. Now I'm just going to discuss the microderm protocol. So if you are doing a microdermabrasion, you usually would do 2 layers of Jessner and then you do a light microdermabrasion, preferably with the diamond head because the crystals can leave deposits. The microderm treatment protocol with the Jessner is very simple, but it's important to remember to do very, very light passes of microdermabrasion with the head. It's best to use the diamond head, not the crystals, because we don't want deposits. And you have the skin quite taut with your thumb, and then you're working away from the thumb in nice, even but light strokes all over the face evenly, and being careful not to double pass. Now you'd focus on the areas of concern like the chin. You might want to do a double pass on the chin, but again, very light double passes. So just remember, keep the skin taut, work in the opposite direction to the thumb. And so the other thing we must remember is not to use any water-based products on the skin after a Jessner solution because that will reactivate the peel. So what we're going to do now is apply our remedy balm. Or our Occlusiderm because the skin is quite hot and tingly now. So we can apply Occlusiderm all over the skin. And then when the patient goes home, they can use the remedy balm or de-stress during the shedding phase. So for 10 hours, we don't want any water-based products on the skin, only oil-based products. You can apply dry sunblock on the skin, so obviously in the form of Synergie loose minerals, or you can use the mineral whip, but not the Be Flawless because that has a slight water content in it. This should also increase the comfort level for the patient, the Occlusiderm. And either the patient leaves with a hat, full sun protection in the way of physical cover, or dry minerals in the form of Synergie loose minerals. So you should get some shedding on about day 4. Even earlier. You can start applying Priority B and your depigmenting serum during that phase, and also while they are shedding we can use our remedy balm and also your olive squalene de-stress during the shedding phase. When there's no further sign of any inflammation or shedding, you can resume your normal active skincare of your vitamin A, B and C and any other active products. And that is the Jessner. So just remember, follow the protocol closely. If you have any questions, don't hesitate in calling your local sales manager or head office. Thank you.